Ever felt the ache of betrayal in the depths of your soul? I have. My life, woven with threads of trust and love, unraveled suddenly in the dim glow of a garage, amid whispers of deceit. You're already screwing me regularly, so why do you want to marry me? Her question, once playful, now echoed with bitter irony as shadows of her infidelity crept in. This is my walk through the shattered remains of trust and vows. Enjoy watching it. It was just another Saturday in the burbs. Well, maybe for everyone but me because I was stuck hosting a yard sale. I really don't like yard sales. Like a lot of guys, I'd much rather just toss the old stuff. But my wife, she wouldn't have it, even after I said we didn't need the cash. She came back at me with how we could give the money to our kids' school. She's big into the PTA, always working to make the school better. She cares about the PTA like I care about my car. So there I was, lounging in my backyard hammock trying to rest for Sunday. Sundays are my big day. I'm training for a marathon, so I do my longest runs then. We're talking 18 to 24 miles. After that, I'm wiped out till evening. But once it cools off, I get this burst of energy. That's when I wash my car. My car's that 2009 Mustang GT in the garage. It's got those bullet rims and a MagnaFlow exhaust. It was my pride and joy before I met my wife. And yeah, my garage is off limits for the yard sale. It's as tidy as can be, even has a TV. But then, they showed up. I tried ignoring them, hoping they'd leave, but no luck. "Excuse me, sir," a young guy says. His girlfriend, or maybe wife, is clinging to him. They've got that glowing, young, and in love look. "Is the price right on this game system? Just $50? You mean 500, right?" He's eyeing the dual screen system, the 3D monitors. "That's with everything? All the games, the headsets, and extra controllers? All that for $500? His eyes were wide, like a kid on Christmas morning. The two big 3D screens alone cost $300 each, and the gaming rig is worth about $400. Games? $60 a pop. And you're okay with just $500 for everything? "No," I snapped back. "It's $50. Take it or leave it." His girl nudged him, but he wasn't fooled easily. "It works, right?" He eyed me with doubt. "Barely used, less than a month old." "It's almost new," I confirmed. "Of course it works, and if you don't want it, others will." "Was it your kids? He took off or went to college or something?" he probed. "Nope," I said. "It was mine." "Then why so cheap?" he questioned. I just sighed heavily. That's the annoying part of yard sales. People want a deal, but they're nosy about why. Truth is, I needed to ditch the gaming setup, which is why we even had a yard sale. I gestured towards the seating area. I got him and his girl a beer and a soda for myself, then dived into my story about how gaming nearly wrecked me. I'm Perry Tyler. And no, I'm not that famous guy who dresses as a lady for films. I was Perry Tyler long before he was known. Anyway, I studied manufacturing tech at U of M and work at Thompson Manufacturing as the head CMC programmer. Got a nice place in Michigan near Detroit. Back when this all started, I'd been with my wife, Denise, for about 10 years. Things seemed good. I thought we were content. We had what most would call a happy life. Not rich, but we weren't starving. Like many in the U.S., we were just average, stuck in the middle-class struggle. Denise and I were night and day in looks and muscle. She was all early bloom, and I caught up later. Extending the story, Denise always said I had a knack for diving into hobbies, then moving on. But with gaming, it stuck like nothing before. Started as a weekend thing, then every night, skipping dinners, missing out on us time. She warned me, said it was pulling us apart. I shrugged it off. "It's just a game," I'd argue. But deep down, I knew. It was an escape, a world where I was in control, not just another guy pushing buttons at work. Denise tried, really did. Even picked up a controller once, trying to join in. But it wasn't her thing, and soon we were like two ships passing in the night. One day I came home and she was gone. Note on the counter said she needed space. That was my wake-up call. I looked around at the gaming rig, all the hours I poured into it. For what? That's why it's $50. I'm cutting it out, starting clean. "So, you're sure?" the guy asked again, perhaps seeing the earnest in my spill. "Yeah," I nodded. "Gotta let go to move forward." He handed over the cash without another word. As they left, I felt a mix of relief and emptiness, but also a spark of hope. Maybe it's time to find hobbies that bring us together, not tear us apart. Maybe it's not too late for Denise and me. During the early years right after college, Denise had her best times. She wasn't known for stunning beauty, but she was quite appealing, with a figure that caught attention. Her face, which was pretty in an average way, was enhanced by her long, shiny brown hair. She wasn't ugly, but that hair really upped her appeal. Her figure wasn't perfect, but she had great legs and was well endowed, which made a lot of guys, me included, ignore that her tummy wasn't flat. Even in her 20s, which isn't a great sign. And those curves of hers made most men turn a blind eye to the fact that she had what nowadays many would consider a big behind. It seems like nowadays, a larger behind is more in style. Me? I was the geek, through and through. During and just after college, I was skinny, a real nerd, and always behind those huge glasses. Social situations weren't my thing. I was way too shy. And yet, I couldn't help falling for Denise. The years following college were tough for most of us. Denise worked as a waitress while I settled into my job, where I began making decent money right off the bat. This job forced me to face my social fears head on. I started as a CNC operator, then moved up to a setup role, and eventually, I became a programmer. Each step up brought more responsibilities and more cash. I still hung out with college friends during this time. Over the years, Denise and I talked a lot but never dated. However, as time went by, we got closer and finally started dating. Things got serious fast. Denise was the first woman who was comfortable with me in a very intimate way. Sure, I had had sex before, but it was always rushed, hidden in the back of a car or in a dorm when no one was looking. But with Denise, we both had our own places, so we could take our time and actually enjoy being together. Her figure was such that even in our mid-20s, it was changing with time. I was hooked on them, and she found it funny that I was still hooked. Seems like all the guys we knew had tried their luck and moved on. They had been with her when she was still all bouncy and perky. By the time I got close, time had done its work. After a year together, I knew something for sure. Denise wasn't just my girl, she was my best mate. When we were apart, I just felt off. She felt the same. So I popped the big question. She looked at me, puzzled, like I was talking about someone else. Maybe she'd seen too many old, single ladies at her job and thought that'd be her one day. She didn't say yes at first. She wanted to know why I'd want to tie the knot. "You're already getting it on with me," she said. "You can have that without marrying me, so why?" I looked straight into her eyes. "Denise, I've dug you since forever, even before you knew I existed. Dreamt about you too. Now, after all our time together, being without you just feels wrong. It's not about getting it on or any of that, Denise. I just want to be with you forever. You're my best bud, but I don't want us to be just buddies. And the thought of someone else snagging you? Can't bear it. I love you, Denise." "Why didn't you start with that?" she said. "Of course I'll marry you, Perry. But don't think so low of yourself. You would have had a chance with me way before. Being with you makes me happy too. Most guys before you were just in it for one thing. You're the only one who cared to really know me. And even after we got together, you stayed sweet to me. I'd never let you go, and I never will. I love you too." So there it was. Despite everything, we both knew we were each other's end game. It wasn't about the past or what we could offer. It was about the real deep bond we had, the kind that goes beyond words, the kind that you fight to keep because you know it's rare. And with that, we stepped into our future, ready to face whatever came our way, together. 10 years into our marriage, things looked good. We were lucky with 2 boys, Bobby, full of energy at 5, and Johnny, the quieter 3-year-old. We had waited to start our family until we felt ready with money. Our home was nice, with 2 cars, a pool, and we often went on trips. It seemed we had everything for a happy life. But over the years, Denise and I had changed. She had become the kind of wife you see everywhere, not the woman who once turned heads. But let's get this straight. Denise was my love, not just some woman. Yes, time and having our boys changed her body. But when I looked at her, I saw the love of my life and the mother of our kids. That bond was stronger than any changes in appearance. Even with those changes, I still found moments to be close to her when the kids weren't watching. It was a playful part of our day-to-day life. On my side, things had also gone well. Running a department boosted my confidence and improved my social skills, and thanks to Denise's meals, I was in better shape than before. However, Let me try again to share this in a simpler and more sensitive way. For 10 years, Denise and I built a life together. We were blessed with two amazing boys, Bobby, who was always up to something, and Johnny, who was a bit quieter but just as wonderful. We had been careful, waiting until we were in a good financial spot before we had kids. Our home had everything a family might want: space for everyone, a pool for the summer, and we even managed to take trips here and there. It seemed we had all we needed for a full and happy life. 10 years can change a lot, though. Denise had changed in appearance, becoming the kind of everyday mom you might not notice. But that's not how I saw her. She was everything to me, my partner, the mother of our children. The way she looked was just part of our journey. Our connection went beyond the surface. Despite the jokes and laughter about our everyday routines, our bond was deep. Too had changed over the years. My job had given me confidence and a sense of purpose. I felt comfortable in who I was, thanks in part to Denise, who had always been my support. Our story was more than just the surface changes. It was about the life we built together and the love that deepened with time. That was it. The last move for me was to switch from my big glasses to contact lenses. I guess it all started with Mary Claire Thorpe, our babysitter, making a comment that stuck. We threw a barbecue for her because she had just finished a 2-year college course in taking care of kids. She had her sights set on a bigger goal, aiming for a master's degree or even a PhD. This first step was a big deal, and we wanted to share in her joy. Mary Claire was a head-turner, tall and lean, with just the right curves. She wasn't bulky, yet she stood out in her own way. She had legs for days and a very noticeable behind, especially when she was out swimming in our pool. But it never really stirred anything in me. It's kind of like admiring someone's fancy car without wanting it for yourself. You respect its power but are content with what you've got. So there we were, Denise and I, our kids, Mary Claire, her brother Stuart, and a few neighbors all celebrating around our pool. We were handing Mary Claire presents and cheering her on for her MS, which was our nickname for her. Mary Claire had a few drinks and was a bit lightheaded. Denise handed her our present, a new laptop, but teased it might be something car-related because of my geeky side. She handed over the box, joking about expecting something entirely different. "Mr. Tyler's not a nerd, he's hot. I'd go for him in an instant," blurted a tipsy Mary Claire. Denise's look sharpened. Even though she knew Mary Claire didn't mean it, it caught her off guard. That moment might have been the first time in a long while Denise actually saw me through new eyes. In her mind, just like mine, we were just another ordinary middle-aged couple with kids and bills to pay, living like everyone else we knew. When I heard I was still in the game, it shook things up. See, when Denise and I got together, we were kind of at a low in the looks department. She was past her prime, and I never really had a prime. But hearing even one tipsy babysitter say I was hot made Denise sit up and take notice. Our life had boiled down to kid stuff and home stuff. The fire we had seemed to have cooled to just a warm spot. Women pick up on that, taking it to heart. Me? I thought maybe we just needed to try something new together to get the sparks flying again. I read a ton about how creepy folks can sneak into kids' lives through video games. Our kids were nearing that age. The advice was clear. Play those games with your kids. Not really a gamer myself, I still went out and got the best gaming setup money could buy. I got all the top games, shelling out for Beyond the Call of Duty and others that are real hits for both solo and online play. When I set it up at home, Denise looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "This is going to spice things up," I said with less confidence than I felt. "How's that supposed to work?" she questioned. "In 2 ways," I started. "By playing some games together, we'll bond and sharpen our teamwork outside of just family stuff." "We're already a good team," she cut in. "Yes," I agreed. "But apart from kid and house stuff, we don't really just have fun together. Some games would pit us against one another, vying for rewards." "What kind of rewards?" she asked with a hint of doubt. "It depends on the game," I replied. "The winner could demand anything from the loser." "Don't get too excited, Perry," she teased, a playful glint in her eye. "You're not getting that special favor just because you're good at games. Why isn't what you already have enough?" "Because I want all of you," I confessed openly. She flashed a warm smile and let out a soft chuckle, reflecting a joy that had been absent from her lately. This lighthearted mood continued until we actually began playing. My job involves lots of computer work and dealing with various software, so I picked up things quickly. Denise, however, struggled significantly. The reality is modern games are intense and require quick thinking, fast reactions, and strategic insight qualities Denise seemed to lack. The first night we teamed up for Beyond the Call of Duty was a disaster. Denise was out before she even realized our location. We restarted, but she was gone before making a move. That night, Denise's repeated defeats led her to drop the controller in defeat and walk away in frustration. The following night, we opted for a head-to-head battle offline. "So what's the stake?" I inquired. "Definitely not what you're wishing for," she said with a hint of mischief. "I won't take that risk until I'm sure I can keep you at bay." I felt a pang of disappointment, but in the game I quickly outmatched her, defeating her 15 times in 14 minutes. Needless to say, I ended up with nothing, not even a consolation. Denise didn't speak much to me for the next couple of days. I was close to giving up on the gaming idea altogether, thinking maybe it was something to revisit when we had kids old enough to enjoy it. This rewrite aimed to simplify the language and content while maintaining the essence and emotions of the original story. It was adjusted to ensure a comfortable read, in line with the instructions provided. Denise called me one evening full of joy, asking, "What about Saturday night?" I was puzzled. "Saturday night?" "Yeah, you and me playing video games," she explained. "If you win, you get a fun night with me. If I win, you have to pamper me just how I like." I was curious. Why this plan? It turns out Mary Claire's brother Stuart offered to teach her to play video games. Denise wanted us to find fun things to do together, but she was no good at games. Stuart saw our gaming setup and got really excited. He proposed teaching Denise for just $10 if he could also use it sometimes. So there it was, a game challenge for Saturday night. All week we exchanged playful looks and smiles. Even our intimate moments felt extra charged. "I know what you're dreaming of," she teased during one close moment. Finally, Saturday arrived. After dinner and putting the kids to bed, we both got ready. We faced off by the gaming console, each in our night robes and nothing else, smiling wide. We chose a battle game. The first to reach 5 wins would claim their prize. We started. I found cover and searched for Denise in the game's world. This setup, a spouse trying to learn a shared interest and adding a playful, intimate wager, kicked off an unusual challenge. The anticipation had built all week, bringing a mix of excitement and playfulness into their ordinary life. Now, game on. The battle wasn't just on screen, but also a playful duel of desires and expectations, with each move in the game charged with a sense of closeness and shared adventure that had been building all along. I took a breath, calm and sharp, then shot not 1 but 2 9mm bullets right between my wife's eyes. "That's one," I said, bracing myself. But that quick win was my last. Denise fired 5 times, fast and hard, in ways I couldn't grasp. The last shot, she was somehow right above me, like a shadow in a tree, hidden. Her skill left me in the dust. I was mad, and she just grinned. "Come on, love," she sang, leading me to our room. She dropped her robe on the bed. I did what she asked, keeping our promise. She enjoyed it. After 3 times, she pushed me away, breathless. I grabbed a Pepsi, drank it fast, then went back to the room. "Don't you want to?" she asked. She was more than ready to return the favor. Do I want it? Or should she just do her thing? Turning her down was a first for me, but angry as I was, I didn't even want to be near her. The next day, Sunday, meant a long run, 20 miles. After, I chilled until it was time to wash my car. "Want to play a bit?" she called. I passed, too beat, but said I'd watch. She was something else, new tricks I never did. After, I couldn't stand that game anymore. She started dinner and I picked a different game. Unmapped was no simple play. It felt like being in a film. You're Jim Columbus, chasing a city full of treasure that your famous ancestor found. He never wrote about that city in his books. He said a deep, dark power there could ruin us all. Apart from just fighting bad guys and beasts, you need to crack codes and find your way, all while some close to you play you dirty. Denise saw me playing and came over, sitting in her game chair. She jumped into my game, but man, she was bad at it. I grinned, feeling a rematch brewing. I planned to win back my pride in a week, this time no maps. We'd play online, facing fresh puzzles and new enemies each time. The first to find the treasure wins. What's the bet this time? She asked. You know what I'm after, I said with a whisper. This time, she said, you're going all in. Every part of me, and don't skip my toes. Do that thing you did last time. I'm still buzzing. When you talk, all I think about is your touch. I just stood up and went to clean my car. That week, I dove deep into the game. It felt like I was living in it. I also dug around online chat rooms, picking up tips. Denise didn't stand much of a chance this round. It was a new game each time. When Saturday rolled around, we got the kids to bed, then stripped down to our gaming skin. We dived into the game, each in our own chair. She had the upper hand in shootouts, but I could crack the puzzles with ease. She won again, just by a hair, in a replay of last week. So I did as promised. I made sure she felt every moment. And the sounds she made, well, let's just say the neighbors might have got an earful. Harry, I just love it when you do that, she said. And I love you. Getting this game was the best move we've ever made. We found a new spark in each other, all thanks to a video game challenge. It was wild, passionate, and brought us closer than we've ever been. This digital world wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about connecting in more ways than one. I'm glad you're happy, I said, not feeling too glad inside. What about next weekend? She asked. What do you mean? I replied. We have one more game to play, she pointed out. I got up and went to pick up the game box. We looked it over together in bed. You're on, I replied, trying to sound brave. This game might hurt you, she warned with a grin. If I win, you have to lick the thing you want most but can't have, she added. And if you win? She asked. Nothing, I answered, leaving her puzzled. She moved closer and hugged me. Don't you want something? She pushed. Not now, I replied. She mentioned it had been a while since we were close. You're fine, I cut her off. I went for a run the next day, angry and running a long 20 miles. Running and washing a car later gave me time to think and plan. I came up with something a bit sneaky that night while Dennis cooked. I wandered around our living space looking at stuff on the shelves. The next day at work, I opened an old app on my computer. We had many stuffed toys around our house, with nanny cams in them from the days we didn't trust babysitters with our kid. Mary Claire, a friend now, used our home like hers, but those cams were for safety then. I figured it was time to put those cams to use again, for something important coming up. This plan, though sneaky, felt needed for what was ahead. Denise called me one evening full of joy, asking, "What about Saturday night?" I was puzzled. Saturday night? Yeah, you and me playing video games, she explained. If you win, you get a fun night with me. If I win, you have to pamper me just how I like. I was curious. Why this plan? It turns out Mary Claire's brother Stuart offered to teach her to play video games. Denise wanted us to find fun things to do together, but she was no good at games. Stuart saw our gaming setup and got really excited. He proposed teaching Denise for just $10, if he could also use it sometimes. So, there it was, a game challenge for Saturday night. All week we exchanged playful looks and smiles. Even our intimate moments felt extra charged. I know what you're dreaming of, she teased during one close moment. Finally, Saturday arrived. After dinner and putting the kids to bed, we both got ready. We faced off by the gaming console, each in our night robes and nothing else, smiling wide. We chose a battle game. The first to reach 5 wins would claim their prize. We started. I found cover and searched for Denise in the game's world. This setup, a spouse trying to learn a shared interest and adding a playful, intimate wager, kicked off an unusual challenge. The anticipation had built all week, bringing a mix of excitement and playfulness into their ordinary life. Now, game on, the battle wasn't just on screen, but also a playful duel of desires and expectations, with each move in the game charged with a sense of closeness and shared adventure that had been building all along. She said we had loads of time, all morning and even after. Stuart glanced at his buddy, who tried to say something but stopped when Stuart looked at him. He walked out, muttering. Denise and Stuart saw him leave, and then Denise pulled Stuart into another room. What happened next was shocking. Denise started to be really close with Stuart in a way that made my heart race. I couldn't believe it, so I quickly started to record it on my computer and told my assistant I had to rush home for an urgent matter. I was out and in my car in no time. They had said they had all afternoon, so I wasn't in a rush. My Mustang roared to life, breaking the quiet of the morning. I drove past some coworkers, eager to get home. I parked a bit away so they wouldn't hear my car. I snuck in through the backyard. The back door was wide open. I moved quietly inside, wondering where Stuart's friend had gone. Inside, I caught them in the act on our dining table, a sight that made my blood boil. Stuart was with my Denise in a way she had never been with me. It looked so normal to them. That's when I saw Stuart's buddy on the other side of the room, watching them too, caught up in the moment. I was filled with all sorts of feelings, the kind that make your heart hurt and your head spin. Here I was, seeing something I never thought I would in my own home. It was a mess of emotions and disbelief, a moment etched in my mind forever. With haste, Denise spoke again. "I'm not into this. Didn't you say you both had the whole day?" I raised my voice, making them look my way. Denise straightened herself out quickly while Stuart nearly toppled over. "Harry, why are you here?" She gasped, shocked. "Crap," Stuart muttered, unable to hide his shock. "He's not well equipped." Denise tried to get dressed in haste. That was enough for me. Anger took over. I walked across the room, heading straight to Stuart. His eyes grew wide, though he was bigger than me. He knew what was coming next. Mike Tyson, the boxer, once said the best punch he threw was in a personal moment. I felt like Tyson as my punch flew towards Stuart. Fighting isn't my thing, except for some self-defense classes. I used to be a big nerd. But that day, I was amazed by my own actions. I stopped just right while Stuart tried to pull his pants up, stumbling with them around his ankles. My legs stopped, but my upper body kept moving. This made my punch come faster, at just the right moment. My hips turned, adding power as my shoulders aligned with Stuart, and my arm sent my fist in a perfect arc, hitting Stu's right eye. His glasses broke, sending pieces flying everywhere. I grabbed Stuart's shirt with my left hand, stopping him from falling as my right hand prepared and flew again. This time it hit his nose, making blood pour out as I readied to hit once more. It felt like I was watching from outside my body. I was fully aware of everything happening in the room. I felt everything around me, even the tiniest bit. I saw the fear on Denise's face as she ran at me. I also saw that Stuart's buddy kept on going even as I was hitting Stuart hard. Maybe too much gaming got to him, or maybe he couldn't tell apart love and hurt. Denise tried to stop me by grabbing my arm. She was heavier than me, so my body just reacted. My foot, in my hard work shoe, hit Stuart where it really hurts. His screams could have been heard far away. I pushed Denise away and grabbed a snow globe from the table, aiming it at Stuart's friend. It missed where I aimed, but hit his hand hard, cutting and breaking it. He'll be using his other hand for a while. He screamed, and I turned to Denise, who was trying to dress and talk at the same time. "Harry, we need to talk," she said. "What's there to talk about?" I answered. "You saved him for now, but it won't be the same next time. Leave my house, all of you." "What are you saying?" she yelled back. "I don't love him. I wanted to stop you from going to jail. Our kids need us both. We can't fix this if you kill Stuart. He's nothing. Look at him." "Just leave my house," I said again. "Take Stuart and his friend with you." Stuart was on the ground, holding himself, still in pain. His nose was real big now, full of blood. His right eye was turning dark, and his broken glasses hung off one ear. His pants were still down. Stuart's buddy was there too, crying and trying to get the locked door open with just his left hand. I went over, gave Denise her keys from the counter, opened the door, and told her to get them both out. Getting Stuart out was tough. Denise tried to hug me before leaving, but I pushed her away. "You'll see it's not that bad," she said. "I'll come back after the hospital." "No, you're not coming back. Go to your folks or just go away, but don't come back here," I told her. "Get your dad to pick up your stuff till the lawyers say you can come back." "Harry, don't say that," she said. "It's just a mix-up. We won't split. I don't want our boys to have a split home. I love you. We just need to talk." I slammed the door so hard it almost hit her. The heavy door even got a crack. I knew I didn't have much time. I called Mary Claire, asking her to get the kids and take them to my folks. I told her I might end up in jail, but not why. Then I ran to the bank and moved all my money from savings. I left the checking as is. I shut down the savings account completely. That way, if someone looked online, they wouldn't know there was another account. I was sure Denise's lawyer would find out when it was closed. He might get a court say to peep at how much dough was in there. But getting it back? No dice. I hit up my boss. We were tight, and he knew the drill of messy splits. Being rich pulls a crowd. Not always the good kind. He showed me how to hide my cash offshore. I found a new bank, slid in the cash, and whoosh, off it went to a far-off account. Denise's legal team would be on a wild goose chase. I didn't stick around that bank, so tracing me? Good luck. A small fee, about $100, wasn't much for peace of mind. Next up, my broker. I said bye to my stocks and bonds. Shifting that to the offshore account shaved off 15% of its worth. Pulling out cash or getting a check would mean taxes, and that's a bigger hit. Boss man had another trick up his sleeve. His buddy in Vegas, casino guy, could lend a hand. He also said to hide my car in his garage. My secretary tagged along to his place, then we swapped to her Honda. I picked up a rental car. Cruising back home, cops were already snooping around. I gave them a cheery wave. "Mr. Tyler, there are 2 guys banged up bad," one cop said. "They're not pressing charges, but we want your story." "Walked in on one with my wife," I said. Did what any guy would. "Need proof?" Their faces said it all. "Come on in," I told them. So I took a step. Life was getting twisted, but I had moves to make. With each play, I danced around the traps set by Denise and her crew. The game was on, and I was playing to keep what was mine out of their reach. With some push, they came with me. I showed them the video on my home computer, the part before things went bad with Stuart. I stopped the video early. "I get what you're going through," the first cop said. He knew it was tough. Even though those guys didn't want to make it bigger, we had to go to the station. My wife got them to stay quiet. "It won't take long," he said. I was okay with it. Everything at home was set. My house had 2 doors. The back one had a tricky lock. We were told not to lose the keys. If we did, fixing it would be a big job. Denise lost hers during a trip. As I left, I broke my front door key in the lock. My other key? In my Mustang. At the station, they didn't put me behind bars. Just in a room to talk. They didn't take my stuff. I wasn't under arrest. Alone, I called Mary Claire. She had taken my kids to my folks. I told her it might be better to talk to my brother, but thanked her for helping. Then, I called my dad. Told him what was up. He planned to take the boys fishing. My dad knew many spots, and my boys loved it. Right after my phone buzzed. It was Denise. I cut the call. She tried again, and I did the same. Then, Denise's mom called, and I couldn't just hang up on her. She told me to go to the hospital to see Denise as she waited for news about Stuart. I asked her what she knew about the whole mess. She said Denise just told her we were fighting because of something I did to Stuart, and Denise was trying to fix things. I thought it should be Denise's job to tell her folks the truth. If she lied, then I'd set it straight. I said I couldn't go to the hospital because I was locked up. Just after I hung up, my phone blew up with calls from Denise, but I didn't pick up. Half an hour later, I spilled my guts to the cop in charge. While waiting to get out, Denise barged into the police station. Someone pointed her to my room. She rushed at me, trying for a hug. I stepped back, hands up. "Stay back," I said. "Honey, we need to go home and talk this over," she insisted. "There's nothing to talk about," I fired back. "Once the divorce is final, you can be with Stuart or anyone else you want." "Damn it, Perry," she said. "You're the one I want." "We all want stuff," I said coldly. "But you can't have me again." "Perry, we need to sort this out." "I mean it," she pushed. "I messed up, but it doesn't mean I stopped loving you. You let him have you in ways you never let me. I've asked for years. See, we've been together forever. You barely know him. I'm the one who married you, supported you. He got you into video games. When you're ill, I'm the one looking after you. What's he even done for you? We have kids, we had dreams. He's wrecked our marriage. Looks like he's your future now." In a simpler tone, here's the story compressed and smoothed out. She asked me to visit Denise at the hospital as she was anxious about Stuart. I questioned what she knew. She mentioned Denise said we argued over something I did to Stuart, and Denise wanted to fix it. I thought Denise should be honest with her folks. If not, I'd tell them the truth. I told her I couldn't go. I was in jail. Right after we spoke, Denise kept calling, but I ignored her. Later, I told the detective everything. Waiting for release, Denise showed up at the station. She was directed to my room and tried to embrace me. I stepped back and said, "Stay away." She pleaded, "We need to fix this at home." I replied, "There's nothing to fix. After we divorce, she's free to be with Stuart or anyone else." Frustrated, she exclaimed, "But I want you." I replied, "We can't always get what we want. You won't have me again." She insisted we needed to discuss, admitting her mistakes but claiming she still loved me. I erupted, frustrated over her choosing Stuart for intimacies she denied me, despite our long history, marriage, and support. I pointed out my care for her against what little Stuart offered. "Our kids, our dreams, he's ended it. He's your future," I concluded, with a mix of resignation and bitterness. In this version, the story's emotional complexities are distilled into simpler, more direct language, though the heart of the conflict and the pain of betrayal remain clear. "Well, you and he had your laughs at me too, right?" "Perry, no one laughed at you," she started. "I love you, Perry. Don't do this to us." "I didn't break us," I said with no warmth. "You did. Perry, you've never seen the real me." She said when she was young she found out she'd do anything to win. She's super into winning, but now she feels she needs to control something. "You've always been there for me. Always loved and cared for me when no one else did. Even when we got older and I changed and you became how you are, you're always there wanting what's always been yours. You're right. That's why I don't do those things with you. Do you know how much that hurts? I'm done talking." "Anything else? Say it through my lawyer," I said. "Perry, we need to talk calm," she said. I turned away and acted childish, fingers in ears, singing la la la. Watching her, she turned red. "Perry, don't make me do this," she said. Shaking her head, she took out her phone. She talked to someone and snapped it shut. She looked back with a mean look. She left. Then the detective came back. "Mr. Tyler, sorry, but we must hold you," he said. "The person you hit changed their mind and wants to press charges." "Call me when you're ready to listen," said Denise. "This could have been easy, but you made me show my bad side. I was put in a cell." An hour later, Denise came to see me. "Perry, where are the kids?" she asked. I wouldn't talk to her. "Perry, you're taking this too far. It's not as it looks. I need your key to the back door. It's not with your stuff, and there's a part stuck in the front door," she said. "Dennis, the house is just in my name. I've said before, I don't want you in my house. If you enter, I'll accuse you of breaking in or entering without permission." I said, "Perry, you don't want to be with me." She snapped back. "There's still time for you to say sorry, for us to talk it out and fix this. We'll go back to how things were and be happy. We'll still be together forever. And years from now, this will be just a faded memory. I'll even let you be with me that way if it means that much to you." 3 or 4, I spat out. "I don't want it anymore. All I want now is to be free from you. I want to start over with someone who really loves me and stays true." Her eyes got thin and her mouth straight. "Perry, I love you," she said. "Don't make me do this. I talked to a lawyer. She's really tough. She told me I could take your house, most of your money, most of your retirement and child support. You'd end up in a shelter, eating canned fish every night until the kids are grown. Won't happen. I'll admit guilt and choose jail time." I smirked. "You're just upset and hurt." She laughed. "Just like later when we talk coolly and I make you understand, you'll regret passing up your chance with me." "No, I won't," I said. "It just doesn't matter anymore." "Why not?" she sneered. "Did you find someone else, since you're in demand now and I'm just not it? It was never about anyone else." I said, "Dennis, I've loved you since we first met in college. I know you were with others and had more going on than I did. I know lots of guys were with you before me. I didn't mind because I told myself they had you first, but I'd be the last one. We were going to stay together always." Tears came to her eyes then, and she got it. "Perry, I never knew all that." She cried. "Perry, I didn't know it was that deep or that you loved me so much. I kind of thought you just couldn't find anyone else. It's over now, Denise. Let's just end it." I said, "Perry, please don't do this. We'll both be sad if we do." She said, "Forget it, Denise. I love tuna." I let out. She left the room and then a guard came in and said my wife was getting me out. I asked if I had to take money from her to get out. "You could say no," he said, "but that would be dumb. You see him." I said, "I don't want her help." Denise came back in. "Why stay here?" she asked. "We need to talk, but I can talk here just fine. I called for the guard. This lady is bothering me. I haven't had my court day yet. I don't want to talk to her and keep her away from me later," I said. The guard took Denise out. "You'll regret this," she yelled. She kept yelling as they took her away from the jail bit. Next day, my favorite guard was back. The cell I was in now had a few small-time crooks. We got talking to pass time when the guard came over. "A lady's here to see you," he told me. "I already said, I don't want to see my nasty wife," I snapped. "It's not her," he said. "It's someone else. You want to go to a room or should she come here? Bring her here." "It's quicker," I said. As she walked down the line of prison cells, ignoring the loud noise of whistles and shouts, she had the grace of a royal. "You really shook my brother up," she stated. "And Denise, oh, she's mad. What did Stuart do?" I shared the story, and her eyes went wide, much bigger than Stuart's before my fist reached him. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she gasped. "I can't wrap my head around it. My brother's college days are toast." "What's that got to do with school?" I wondered. "The dean can't stand Stuart," she explained. "He's been on thin ice since returning to school. The dean warned him, even a tiny slip, and he'd be gone for good. Looks like he's stuck at home forever now. My dad's at his wit's end." Stuart being a grown man yet living in the basement, can you picture it? They tiptoe around him just to do laundry. His room's a shrine to Lord of the Rings, and he drags his loser friends down for Dungeons and Dragons. I couldn't help but chuckle. She then said she was here to bail me out. "Why?" I quizzed. "'Cause that's what friends are for," she said, her cheeks going pink. "EMC. "But you don't have that kind of cash," I pointed out. "It's my college fund," she admitted. "EMC. "I'll let the guards get my bank card," I told her. "I'm touched truly, but I can't take your money. Yet it means the world, thanks." Her smile was all the answer she gave. "So you could have left any time?" She was puzzled. I nodded. "Then why stay?" she pressed. "3 reasons," I began. "Denise wanted me free, but stays messed up thinking it's her fault. She can't talk to me while I'm here. Second, I needed a place to crash. Here, I don't pay for meals. And last, until you showed up, I didn't see a reason to leave." She grinned at me again and went out with the guard to sort out my release. She came back a bit later with the guard. "Hey, isn't this the same account that another lady tried to use to get you out last night? What's the deal?" he asked. "I prefer this lady," I said with a bright smile. MC drove me to the spot where I picked up my rented car. We grabbed breakfast together and I laid it all out for her, every single detail. Before, I had only given her the short version. But now, I poured out my heart. I shared my feelings, how I stumbled upon the truth, and everything that followed. She, too, shared what had happened while I was locked up. Denise had talked to Stuart many times and was now backed by a lawyer. She swapped her first lawyer for a tougher one, a guy known for winning big for his clients. Denise aimed to either make me take her back or ruin me if she couldn't. MC embraced me, saying she'd do whatever to support me. I hugged her back, expressing that her presence was the biggest support I could ask for. I then went to my place to grab some stuff from the garage. I realized I couldn't enter the house without forcing my way in, but luckily I only needed things from the garage. Just then, Denise and a man stepped out of a car. She marched up to me with anger burning in her eyes. "Why did you accept help from some woman but not from me?" I wondered if this rage was always part of the woman I married. I smiled and introduced myself to the man with her, who turned out to be her lawyer. Polite and professional he was. "Answer me!" Denise yelled. The encounter with Denise and her lawyer, filled with tension and revealed emotions, marked a critical moment. It showed the deep divides and the lengths she was willing to go to confront me, armed with legal support, aiming to either reconcile forcefully or cause destruction. This moment, underscored by emotional turmoil, highlighted the complexities of our strained relationship and the pending legal battle ahead. "Who bailed you out? Was it one of those girls you've been hiding around?" Denise yelled at me. Our quiet street was alive now, with neighbors peeking from windows. Her loud words, full of anger, could easily have the cops on our doorstep. I knew it, yet I chose to ignore her, focusing on the lawyer. "Sorry, can't let you into the house right now," I mentioned to him. "But I'll make sure Denise can pick up her stuff soon." He nodded, surprised by my calm. "That's very understanding of you." Denise was still on fire, demanding answers. Our life wasn't always filled with fights and screams, but things changed. "Planning to serve me divorce papers?" I asked the lawyer. He seemed curious about my living situation. "I sold the house," I explained. "It was mine alone. Without us being a real family, it made no sense to keep it." Denise's tears flowed, and the lawyer seemed shocked. Seeing her break down, he urged, "Could you at least answer her?" "Denise," I began, "it was MC who helped me out. The money came from our account. There's no other woman. It's been only you for the last decade. I loved you until you messed up." Her tears didn't stop, but her hope did. "We can still fix this," she whispered, but I shook my head. "No, Denise, it's over. You let your need to win take over. We can't go back." I couldn't shake off what I had seen. "Trusting you again? Impossible." "You sure?" Denise's voice was soft. "Might be you're hurt mad. Give it time, you might see things anew." "Don't think so, Denise," I replied. "Talk it out," she pushed. "Let's sit, figure things out like grown-ups." I was open to that. "Park, 1 p.m., I said. "The park?" she wondered. "In case voices rise," I explained. "Also, it's public. Easier to walk away if needed." She hoped we could mend fences. "See you soon," she said. I turned, headed to my rental car, and dialed my boss to update him. "Don't get tricked," he warned. "Her lawyer and some folks have been poking around about your income and your retirement savings. Stick to the plan. Plus, you gotta hit Vegas today. If she files first, our tricks might get scrutinized." Next, I met my lawyer, handed over details on Denise's lawyer to him. As I laid out my actions, he couldn't stop laughing. Seemed like he'd been down this road. "You know I gotta share what you've told me with the court, right?" he said. I just nodded. Didn't care. The kids being okay was my only worry. "I like tuna," he joked, hinting at forgetfulness. "Guess what you said will slip my mind too." So I drove to the park. Denise was there, on the bandstand bench. Folks around, but far enough. I sat across her. She looked sad. It feels like ages when you'd come up to me in the kitchen and we'd joke around. Now it's like you think I'll make you sick. She paused, eyes on me, then went on. "Perry, everything's gone wrong. I don't feel like the same person I've been with you all this time. I'm really sorry for my part. Looking back, I see how silly I was. I tried to blame you at first. I told myself it was your fault because of that silly game. I got the game hoping it would bring us closer. I loved you so much, Denise. I had to try anything to get us back. Now I see it," she said, "but you're missing everything. Perry, you're good looking. I'm lucky to be with you. It wasn't like this at the start. Remember 10 years back when we got together? I was the one turning heads. Whenever we went out, people would wonder why that stunning woman was with you. You didn't know, but men would always try to get my attention when you weren't around. You'd leave, and guys would give me their numbers or chat me up right next to you. But I never went for it. My mind was set on us, forever. By then, I was done with guys who just wanted a quick time because I looked good. I could have had that any day. That's all I heard from the older waitresses I worked with. They used to be it. Then one day they weren't. All they had was a poor little place with a cat. I didn't want that life. I noticed other women who seemed happier. They had homes, loved ones, kids, and husbands who loved them back. I saw that what made the happy women different from those who felt less wanted was love. I thought about all the guys we used to hang out with and realized that even though I had been close with many of them, they didn't really care for me. There's a huge gap between wanting someone for a night and truly caring for them. Out of everyone, Perry, you were the one who showed me care. That's why I was drawn to you, and I'm so thankful for that. But lately things have shifted. You, Perry, have gotten more attractive with time. Me? I turned into a mom with changes in my body, still seeing myself as the young, attractive girl I once was. Recently, I feel invisible, but many women notice how attractive you are. It really hit me hard about 3 months ago during a festive event at the mosque. It dawned on me then how independent you've become. You haven't changed, Perry. You're still the kind, funny person you always were, but I guess I was seeking something more. That's why I started to boss you around and distance myself from you. I wanted to convince myself I didn't need you. Meanwhile, you did everything to take care of us and our kids, trying to stop me from drifting away. The video game idea was fantastic. It could have been great for us, but I spoiled it. You showed me how much you still wanted me by what you hoped to win. You made being with me seem like a prize, while I treated it as a way to belittle you. And until the other day, I thought it was just you trying to control me. When you explained your true feelings, I just wanted to cry because I realized how wrong I'd been. I didn't see how deeply you loved me. That thing with Stuart, it hurt you, Perry, I know. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. I just wanted to win that game against you so bad. I wanted to have something to boast about, you know. When Stuart and I played the games by ourselves, things got out of hand, I guess. We began with talking about the bet. Then he wanted to know about the stakes. Before I knew it, he was saying how since he helped me not lose, he should get part of the win, the first time I won. Perry, you made me feel so amazing. I mean, you've been good to me before, but that night was just something else. I should have seen it wasn't as big a deal to you when you didn't want to go all the way after. I thought maybe you were just saving your strength for your big run the next day, the morning after. I had to fulfill a promise to Stu for his help in winning against you. I was even more set on winning again after that. Stuart said it would be harder, but he knew a way. He told me his price, though. He wanted more from me. I said no. I wasn't going to let him close again. But as days went by, I saw I couldn't win. You were too good at solving those puzzles. I hate losing. So I gave in. Other than the shame, it was something I could try to forget. Stuart's big plan was to cheat. I watched how you solved puzzles. When you struggled, I didn't. Because, Perry, I didn't have to fight like you. If you got shot, it was game over. But I couldn't be killed. I had a cheat code that made me invincible, so I could get shot many times and still not die. Stuart told me what I'd have to do to win and what he wanted in return. I didn't see how much it would hurt us by agreeing to it. Stuart said it would be a close call, and it really was. I'm really sorry, Perry. I got wrapped up in wanting to win and didn't think about how it would affect us. I wish I could take it all back. After you solved the last game challenge, I watched, and then used a cheat code that let me skip a puzzle and catch up to you right at the finale. I blazed through the final fight by shooting left and right, while you took your time, hiding and moving slowly. When I won and was collecting my prize, you were there, good-natured even in loss. It reminded me of how much I wanted us to be close again, just like before our kids came along. But then, after you were trying to be close, you didn't want more. I did. I missed us. Then on Monday, you caught me off guard. It felt like we were part of a game, not real life. Perry, the hurt I caused you isn't worth losing what we had. We should think about how to move past this. What can I do to make things right? Dennis, all I wanted was what we had. That's gone now. Your looks didn't matter. It was about us from the start. But when I saw you with Stuart, it was over. It's not about the physical stuff. I fell for the person who cared for me when no one else did. You threw that away. Now we need to think about the kids, how to manage custody and their well-being. Perry, that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to know how we could fix us. I don't want to hear this. You need to think of something to fix this. She got upset, her voice louder. I'm sorry, Denise, but I can't. Yelling won't help. Trust is broken. We can't get that back. We need to move on as parents for our kids. Maybe one day we can be pals. When this doesn't hurt as much. Parents, she yelled. She stood up from the bench and gave me a hard look. Pals? I don't want to be your pal. You have 2 days to sort yourself out. Then it's war. Push me, and I'll take all you've got. All your cash, all in the bank, the house, even your small car. She was so loud and said so many bad words that folks around us couldn't help but watch. In 2 days, Perry, you're in for it. Either back with me or losing everything in the divorce. You'll end up on a cold floor eating canned fish, working like crazy for me, she snarled. And I might be with Stuart or someone, not because I want to, but to get back at you. And when you're old, I'll take most of your pension so you'll have nothing. Got it? And Perry, if I hear you're with another woman, I'll ruin you. Then she knocked over the bench and left for her car. I went to Las Vegas that day. I stayed in a nice room and even played some games. The next morning, someone knocked on my door. As soon as I opened it, he came in. He gave me a file. It had hotel papers inside. They showed I lost about $200,000. Where'd I get that money? I asked. He just smiled and said, You sold your house and your future money, he said. Then you lost it all here. Your boss, Justin, is my cousin. He lost a lot to his wife. He set this up. I was so glad I took an extra day in Vegas. Saw a show, ate lots, even smiled at some nice ladies. I wasn't ready to date, but I knew I'd want to someday. But I had to face the music soon. The morning after Vegas, I went to thank Justin at the office. My dad was bringing the kids back later. It was odd. Denise hadn't asked about them once. As I thought about my car, I saw Denise's lawyer in the parking lot, with another man and Denise behind them. "So, are we going home?" she hoped. I just smiled and shook my head. She looked ready to burst with anger. The man with Denise handed me a folder. "You've been served," he said. The lawyer looked sorry as he spoke. "This isn't the best way," he admitted. "Your wife insisted. Maybe bring your lawyer to talk calmly, figure out a fair split." Denise was bitter. "I warned you, Perry," she spat. "Ready to be smart? I can end this. But remember, you've got that court date for the assault. Might end up in jail. I can fix that too." She was smug, thinking she had me trapped. "I'm coming back home soon," she stated. This all felt like a bad dream. I needed to sort it fast for the kids' sake. They needed a stable home for school. That extra day in Vegas seemed like a lifetime ago. Now I had to deal with this mess. Denise was playing hardball, but I had to keep my cool for everyone's sake. That day I sat with Denise and our lawyers. I did most of the chatting. Others were there too. Denise had Stuart and his pal with her, while I had one of Justin's pals. Stuart got real jittery when he saw my friend. "Ready to fold?" Denise sat and asked. "Let's start," I replied. "We say divorce 'cause you were mean in the head," her lawyer began. I just laughed, making all turn to look at me and my lawyer. "What's so funny?" Denise's lawyer asked. "Just a bit ago, your client wanted to stick with me," I said. "That doesn't sound like I was mean, right?" Denise's face went all tight. "Okay," I went on. "Denise, I thought we'd go with can't agree on things." I was okay with that, to not shame anyone or drag Stuart through the mud. But if you're going to attack with nonsense, I'm throwing back the real deal. "I'm saying you cheated," I told them. Denise's lawyer was shocked, then looked at her. "You didn't say," I pointed out. He was lost for words. "This is a place where blame doesn't stick without proof, right? You got any?" he asked. I showed the video from the nanny cam on my iPhone. He looked away and then at Denise. "Need to talk to my client," he muttered, and they left. Loud arguing was heard from outside. I smirked at Stuart, who was all sweaty. When Denise and her lawyer came back, he said they'd go with can't agree on things. "Not sure I want that now," I said. "After the hurt she caused, maybe all should know what she's like. But let's hold off for now. Keep telling me what she wants. My wife wants the house, the kids most of the time, support for them and her car, and more than half of all the money we have, even my retirement money. She also says we should talk to someone about our troubles." I couldn't help but laugh again. The lawyer stared. "What now?" he asked. "Finding your love with another just flips everything. It makes you lose it for a bit. All I wanted was to end things, to move on. So no, not happening." "What?" Denise stood up, mad. "What did you do?" "I sold the house," I said. "Did it before she asked for the divorce. I took all our saved money, too. Thought I'd go to Vegas, grow it, and we could split clean. You find someone okay with your cheating, and I find someone who sticks by me." "But you didn't make more, did you?" she asked. "Not even close," I admitted. "Never gamble mad." "How much did you lose?" her lawyer chimed in. "All of it," I confessed. "Still owe the casino lots? And your retirement money?" The lawyer kept at it. "Surely she gets some. Wasn't there long enough to make it worth much. And after what happened, I quit, or got fired. So it's nearly gone too. Sold my car to start paying the casino. Now her car, which we still owe on, is all we have. No job, no home, not sure how we're going to manage. The kids, whom Denise forgot to ask about, are with my folks." "You idiot," she screamed. "So here we are. Me, with nothing but trouble and debt. Her, mad as hell. Unsure how we'll even manage what's left. And the kids, caught in the middle of this mess. We have to start from scratch. What I did was dumb, but this is even worse." "So you two are going to see a counselor to fix your marriage?" her lawyer asked, trying to make one good point. "No," I said. Denise sat there, her arms locked tight over her chest. "What do I do now?" she asked. "You're going to fight me for our kids?" I said. "Why?" she asked. "Why can't we just make up? We messed up." "No, Denise, you messed up," I said. "I just reacted to what you did." Then she began to cry and shout names at me. "I can't even get a job if I end up in jail." "I'll drop it if you agree to try to save our marriage," I said. "Forget it," she said. "I'm not worried," I said. "Stuart is in deeper trouble than I am, and I have more say over what happens to him than you do." The man I brought with me is the head of Stewart's college. He's fed up with Stewart's nonsense but owes me a favor. If Stewart doesn't drop his charges, he's kicked out. As in, he flushed his parents' money down the drain and can't ever return to college. But she told me to, said Stewart. Suddenly, I just wanted to drop the charges and move on. But she warned me that if I didn't, she'd claim I attacked her. We talked it out for 2 days. In the end, Stu dropped the charges. Denise and I agreed to split due to our big differences, and we both found jobs and figured out a way to share time with our kids. We each got our places with what was left in our bank, then shut it and kept our money apart. We worked out exactly how much the boys needed and each paid half. Denise got a job serving tables. It was tough for her. She hadn't worked in 10 years and it showed. I even acted like I cared when she complained about working every day for a couple of months. Everything was looking up. One morning I rang her up to say the lady who bought my house was selling it again. I planned to try and get another loan to buy my house back. She cried when I told her, which I didn't expect. "I'm sorry, Denise," I said. "This will be good for the boys. They'll get their old rooms back and you can visit them a lot. If you want, they can still stay with you half the time. But I think it's better for them to have a house with a yard and pets to play with, right?" "It's not that," she said, then dropped a bombshell. "I found out yesterday I'm going to have a baby." I was stunned. "I know this is tough, Denise," I said. "We'll just work a bit more and take care of 3 kids as well as we did 2 when we were together. It's good news." "You don't get it," she said. "The timing's off. I wish more than anything this was your baby, but it's not." She felt her life was over. "Have you told Stewart?" I asked. She planned to tell him that day. "But Perry, he doesn't need to know. No one does." "Can't we, Denise?" I asked. "It's not right. We've had enough lies. Look where it's led us." "But I don't want to be with him, Perry," she said. "I want to be with you." "That's just not possible now," I told her. "Who knew a year ago we'd be here, or you'd be expecting someone else's child? But here we are." "It's all because of that video game system," she said. "Video games wrecked my life." "No, love," I said softly. "It wasn't the games. Not being careful ruined both our lives. Things got both better and worse. My summer renters left, and I got my house back. Denise told Stewart about the baby. He denied it was his and got a lawyer. I promised Denise I'd help her through the baby time till we could prove who the dad was. The kids came to live with me because Denise got too tired to look after them as the baby grew. She still came to see them lots. I got MC, who was always nearby, to live with us and help out. She fixed her school times to match the kids so she could be there for them. Denise lost her job because moving fast became too hard for her when she was pregnant. Stewart let her stay in his basement, but only because his folks pushed him. They were excited about the baby. Still, Stewart and Denise fought all the time. But things with MC were different. She did a lot more than just watch over the kids. She looked after me, too. She cooked, cleaned, and we spent lots of time together. One day I found MC had moved the game setup to the garage. Our living room had just our TV and sofas set up for movie nights. MC said it was better this way, more cozy for us all. She also had a surprise movie for later. She understood the game stuff made me sad, saying it was time to let go. MC wore one of my big shirts over her swimsuit, ready for a swim and movie night. She showed me it's okay to move on from the past and enjoy what we have. I caught a whiff of her perfume that night. It had been months since that happened. I let go of some of my anger towards what Denise did. That evening was just right. It was a night for us as a family, something we hadn't done in a long, long time. Ever since Denise started to drift away from me and the boys, I've been pouring all I have into getting her back. The boys found their spot on the couch with their popcorn, leaving only the small sofa for AMC and me. We ended up close together, and it felt amazing. She wrapped an arm around me, rested her head on my shoulder, and let out a sigh. Like most guys, I obviously adored the idea of cuddling on the couch with an attractive, interested woman. Meanwhile, I kept missing my unfaithful wife who had put on weight. Yep, that was me being sarcastic. Truthfully, we didn't kiss or anything, but just sitting close with our arms entwined felt incredibly good, and I barely watched the movie. As summer gave way to fall, and with AMC and the kids back in school, Denise was hardly around, unless we went to see her and her new family. This pregnancy seemed tougher on Denise, and she often said it was because I wasn't there, but more so blamed it on Stewart being good for nothing. She kept saying, "Why am I a 36-year-old pregnant lady sleeping in a basement? I have nothing." Denise was getting angrier and harsher as days went by. The loving woman I once knew had vanished. MS and Stewart's folks often said she was only sharp-tongued because she was carrying, but I had doubts. I think I'd been so set on making Denise happy in the past that she had no reason to be bitter. Me standing my ground and not taking her back definitely brought out her sharp side. Denise and Stewart were always fighting, making it clear they couldn't stand each other, both blaming the other for their misery. Denise really didn't like Stewart because she thought he was the reason her marriage and fancy life ended. Stewart felt Denise took away his chance to hang out with his geeky friends and play Dungeons and Dragons in the basement. Stewart's mom and dad were getting tired of helping him out all the time. His dad started telling Stewart to be nicer to Denise, saying if it weren't for the baby, they would have made him leave. Stewart's parents were also treating my kids like their own grandkids. It was common for me to bring MC and the kids over to see Denise, and the kids would rush to him and his wife for hugs and snacks. They were starting to see us as a family, which made MC blush whenever they looked our way knowingly. One day, we were all chilling on the back porch talking about things that made MC feel awkward. Her dad, trying to break the ice, asked, "So, Mary Claire, does he know about the baby thing?" She quietly answered, "Yes, Dad. Perry knows I can't have kids. He's okay with it." Her dad grinned. "So, when will you two get married?" That made MC blush and look away. Before she could say we weren't officially a thing, she joked about holding my hand so I wouldn't get lost on the big porch. Her dad played along but pointed out that no one ever got lost there before. We laughed, but MC and I didn't let go of each other's hands. Her dad then said he had enough. "MC, you're 25, got your associate's degree, and are on your way to a bachelor's. You've got a job, your own place you don't stay in anymore, and whether you know it or not, you have a family and a man who loves you big time. Don't play dumb, Perry. I've seen the looks shared between you two. I don't want to dive into that. I'm proud of you, Mary Claire," he said, reaching to touch her face softly. "But I want to feel the same for your brother. He's 32 and still lives like he's way younger. He's been in school for over a decade, and I can't keep him up anymore. I'm done with it, and I need you on board. Since you're hardly home, could you let me rent out your place for your brother and Dennis? I can't stand the thought of my grandkid in a basement. And Perry, you're practically family, so that makes you his brother-in-law. Could you find him a job where you work? Even the simplest job is better than none. He's been in school forever. He's got to have learned something useful by now." That's when a very pregnant Denise stormed out, paper in hand, yelling, "That jerk!" She was loud and upset. Watching her, I saw MC rush to the kids, trying to shield them from the swearing. She told Denise the kids shouldn't hear such words. Denise just broke down, dropping the paper. MC's parent tried to calm Denise. I picked up the note, read it, and was stunned. I suggested he take the kids inside for a drink. They were promised soda, and their faces brightened. With the kids gone, I read the note out loud. "Denise, I'm done. Can't do it anymore. I wish I never met you. You're nothing but trouble. You've messed up my life. I don't know why Perry is scared to lose you. I did him a big favor, that's how I see it. And look, he quickly moved on with my sister. She's always liked him, you know. Remember her party? Yeah, she was a bit tipsy, but she was spilling real thoughts. Now Mary Claire is living her dream life with the man she always wanted. They were yours once. She's up in the clouds, happy. Me? I'm stuck in a nightmare. My folks? No help. They just shoved you down in the basement with me, not even asking if I was okay with it. They're trying to make us into some sort of fake couple, and I can't make sense of why. This isn't the life I wanted. I don't want a kid. I don't want to be a dad. I don't want a wife. And I sure don't want you. You're not my type at all. You're overweight. You're not pretty. And as I've said before, you're mean. If you have nice qualities, I haven't seen them. Even if there were good things about you, it wouldn't matter. Because let's be real. Perry is a handsome guy, the kind that makes a good dad. He has a great job. He truly loved you. You were his wife for 10 years, and he worked hard for you. But you still cheated on him. How could I ever trust you? I don't even think the baby is mine. I joke that aliens must have used my DNA for some experiment. I also don't plan to work myself to death like Perry or my dad did. I'm not that kind of worker. I won't break my back working to take care of you and any kids because of one night of mistakes.
See, I did learn something in college, so with not a heavy heart but feeling lighter, I'm leaving for a better place. Don't try to find me, I won't be anywhere you look. And tell my dad he can relax now. I'm out of his basement. So there you have it, my story. Though it's tough and filled with rough turns, it's mine. A story of wanting more, of seeking what's better out there, beyond what's been handed to me. It's about breaking free, even if it means leaving behind what was once considered home. So there I was, finishing my note, when Denise started to cry a lot. MLK's mom and dad tried to make her feel better, saying all would be okay. She didn't believe them. Life has a way of getting back at you when you've done wrong. But I have to admit things turned out okay in the end, despite all the lies and tricks. A few bad things went down, but we got past them. So, looking at the two folks in front of me, I asked, "So do you want to buy this game machine or what?" The lady seemed to think twice about it. The guy started nodding yes. Just then, a woman came out of the house with two little boys. "Mommy, can we go in the pool?" my son Johnny asked. She picked him up, gave him a kiss, and said, "You have to wait a bit, Johnny. You just ate." The boy called her Mommy. "You and your wife got back together?" the lady asked. "She doesn't seem fat. Did she go on some crazy diet?" Before I could answer, an old beat-up car rolled in. It looked ready to fall apart. A really big woman got out, followed by an even bigger man with huge glasses. They both looked at the game machine. "I married him," I told the couple I was talking to. "The woman getting out of that rattle trap is Denise." I wondered what was bugging her now. Denise ran around the yard until she found a baseball bat. She then pulled out some money and handed it over. "Here's $50, she said loudly, claiming the game machine. MC nodded and agreed, but Stuart just yelled out in shock. The scene was a mess of emotions, from moments of making up to the surprising turn of seeing Denise act out once again. What a day it was, filled with unexpected events and the odd feeling of things somehow falling into place. "Go to hell, Stuart. It's mine now," yelled Denise. With anger in her eyes, she lifted the bat and crashed it down on the gaming console. Again and again, she hit it until it was just bits and bobs spread all over. Denise was cackling like a witch as she smashed the high-tech game system to pieces. "All for what? For you?" she yelled as she bashed it one more time. "Well, you'll have to find a new toy," I said, trying to smile. "Looks like the game's over." "Wait," the lady said. "You ended up with him?" We sat back down and I told them everything. The next few months were wild, nothing like we thought. Denise had her baby, a girl who looked so much like Stuart. Tests showed he was indeed the dad. She's still in the basement with her girl, but they're not by themselves. About a month after the baby came, Stuart was on the phone crying to his mom and dad, begging for help. He was broke, not even 100 miles from home, got caught trying to nick food. Things got worse when the cops showed up. Stuart tried to bolt and accidentally knocked a deputy over. Even though it was by mistake, it's still big trouble. My folks had to fork over a heap of cash to bail him out. Now Stuart, Denise, and little Betty are stuck in the basement, not too happy. Denise doesn't hang out with our kids much. They're kind of scared of her. They started calling him C-Mommy shortly after we tied the knot. Jail made everything tougher, with Stuart now having a record, making it hard to find work. Denise keeps a close eye on him. His folks pushed them to get hitched to give the kid his last name. They're always at each other's throats. Things were starting to look up for them, finally. Denise landed a new job as a waitress. It didn't pay much, just the minimum, but most waitresses made good money in tips. Too bad for Denise, though. Being not so nice meant she hardly got any extra cash. She bought Stuart a simple push lawnmower. With it, he started mowing lawns around their neighborhood. Sure, it was tough with all the kids around doing the same, but Stuart knew a thing or two about selling from his college days. He was thinking of also shoveling snow when winter came, and maybe raking leaves in autumn. MC came by, handed me another soda, gave me a quick kiss, and went back to the kids. "So things got better for you?" the guy asked. I nodded. "Buying that game system was the best move I made," I said. Just then, Denise's car gave out and quit. She stopped smashing what was left of the game system and tried to get the car going. It wouldn't budge. She just hit it and started to cry. Denise and Stuart's life seemed to be getting a bit brighter. Denise had found herself a new gig waiting tables. The base pay wasn't much to write home about, but tips could really add up. Sadly, Denise's attitude didn't win over many folks, so her tip jar remained lean. She managed to get Stuart a manual mower. With it, he became the go-to for lawns in their block. He had plenty of competition from neighborhood kids, of course. Yet, Stuart had an ace up his sleeve, thanks to his marketing studies in college. He was already plotting to offer snow shoveling in winter and leaf raking come fall. Then, MC dropped by with another drink for me, stole a kiss, and then hurried back to the children. "Has it all worked out for you?" the guy inquired. With a nod, I replied, "Snagging that gaming console was probably the smartest play I ever made." At that moment, Denise's car coughed its last and stalled to a stop. Frustrated, she quit bashing what remained of the gaming gear and attempted to revive her car. No luck. Beating on the dashboard, she broke down into tears. Hey listeners, if you enjoyed watching this video and want to stay updated with our latest content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with Queen Cheating Tales.